Hey y'all, I'm Mickey Gousset, and welcome to day 2 of my GitHub Migration Strategy series. Now last time, we covered what the series was going to focus on and presented, at a very high level, the different options for migrating from different systems. In this video, we're going to dive into the git clone mirror push method of migrating a repository. This method is completely Git focused, meaning it will work to migrate any Git repository from any system using Git to GitHub. Now this method moves the Git repository, including its history and all of its branches. Some reasons to migrate using this method include: it's fast, it's easily scriptable, and did we mention it's fast? However, there are reasons not to use this method. The main one being, you need the metadata, such as pull request history, or other tool metadata that is not specifically related to Git. This method does not move any of that metadata. At a high level, we will use the following commands: git clone -- mirror to create a mirror of the repo, which includes everything, including all the branches. Git push -- mirror to push the mirrored repository to a new blank repository. Okay, let's jump to a demo and see this in action. So first up, we have the repository that we're going to be migrating. So this is the MyShuttle repository. As you can see, we have 159 commits. We have a pull request. It's currently open. And we even have a couple of branches. So this is the repository that we're going to migrate using a git clone mirror push. To get started, we will go to the organization where we're going to migrate to. As we can see, there are no repositories currently in this organization. Now, since we're doing this manually, we haven't scripted it all out, then the first thing we need is a repository. So we will create ourselves a new repository. We'll call it myshuttle.cmp for clone mirror push. So this is the myshuttle clone mirror push migration. And we don't want it to be initialized. We want it to be completely empty. So I'm going to leave this unchecked so we don't have a README file or anything, and we'll just say create a repository. So at this point, here we are. You can see that we have a repository that we've created. It's completely empty, but this is where we can now migrate our code. The next step is going to be to actually clone this repository. We'll clone the repository that we're trying to migrate down. So if we come over here and we grab the URL that we need to clone this, and then we will switch over to our terminal. So here we are in our terminal. I'm in my repos folder. And then I'm going to go into my DevOps Elvis folder, which is my organization name because I like to keep my repositories under their organizations. And if we look, there's currently nothing in this repository. So I'm going to do a git clone. But normally you would just do a git clone and you would add in the URL. But in this case, since I'm wanting to make sure I get all of the repo, including branches, etc., I'm going to say -- mirror. So I'm going to do a git clone -- mirror and then my URL for the repository that I want to clone down. Now if we do a listing, you'll see that I have a directory, but it's not just called the repository name like it would be with a normal clone. It's called myshuttle.git. And if I actually go into my shuttle.git, then you'll notice that it doesn't look like a normal repository. This has got all of the Git stuff that I need to be able to move the repo history, and all the branches to the new repository. Now I want to move this to the new repository. So the first step is I need the URL for the new repository. So we'll grab that from right here. And then I need to set up a new remote. So git remote set URL origin. And then the repository we're going to be pushing to. And now I can do a git push. But instead of just doing a git push, I do a git push -- mirror, which will then move everything, including the branches. You can see it created a couple of the new branches. You can see that a couple of remotes weren't created because we're not moving pull requests. We don't move those things. We don't move GitHub related metadata. We're just moving Git stuff. So now if I go back over to my web browser and I do a refresh, you'll now notice that our code is in our new repository. We have 159 commits, just like we did before. We have 2 branches, just like we did before. I could recreate that pull request that I had because I have the branch that the pull request was opened against. But the pull request itself was not migrated because all we move with a git clone mirror push is Git related data. So the repository history, branches. That's all we move. We don't move any metadata. So we don't move issues. We don't move pull requests or pull request history. For that, that's going to be using the GitHub Enterprise Importer, which is a tool we will look at in the future. There you go. As you can see, using git clone mirror push, you can quickly and easily move a Git repository from one version control tool to another. And as you can imagine, it would be easy to script this to migrate multiple repositories at once. However, for a lot of people, they want to migrate not just the repo, but also the metadata, such as issues and pull requests. That is where the GitHub Enterprise Importer tools come into play. In my next video, I'll give you an overview of the migration process from GitHub Enterprise Server, GitHub Enterprise Cloud, to GitHub Enterprise Cloud Enterprise Managed Users using the GitHub Enterprise Importer. Thanks for watching.